All right, we are live. It is November 5th. Remember the 5th of November. I always do because it's my middle child, Miles. It's his birthday. So we're going to ring a bell for Miles. Not only is it a PR of him turning 13 years old, he also ran a 14:14 in his 2 mile event cross country. Seventh grade came in second place for his school. So, way to go, Miles. Anyway, I don't have a name for this live stream. I don't think live streams have names. Maybe podcasts have names, but maybe not live streams. I think this live stream would be called The Safe Space because it is a safe space to talk about your running and anything running. Anything. I want to know what you ran today. If you ran some easy miles, say you ran 7 miles at an 11:07 pace, I want to know about it. What shoes were you wearing? Let me guess. Gel Nimbus 27s. How many miles you got in those? Your wife, she doesn't care. She loves you, surely. Surely she loves you, but she doesn't care how many miles you have put in your Gel Nimbus 27. And I do. Okay. I care greatly about your Gel Nimbi. I do. Matt Beyer is here. He says, Happy birthday, Miles. We're getting some birthday love. Panos, also happy birthday to Miles. Yeah. I know later I'm going to tell him, hey, a bunch of people said happy birthday. I gave you the birthday bell. And he's going to be like, did anyone give me super chats? That guy has been focused on money since he was in kindergarten. I was breaking some leaves in the front yard. One time, then he came out. And he said, Dad, can I help you? And I was like, oh yeah, sure, buddy. Thank you. Right? And he goes, will you give me money if I help you? And I said, sure. How much? And he said, $1 per pile. I said, okay, cool. So I rake for probably another minute or so, or 2 minutes, and I turn around and he's raked 7 little piles. And he's like, yeah, it's $1, $2, $3. And I'm like, okay, fair. We shook. I owe you $7. And now he's done this middle school thing. And I did this in middle school also, where we would sell, there would be, some people would sell little jewelry things that they made with beads, like little bead necklaces in the shape of a cross. I don't know if they did that at your middle school also. And then Michael's, they had these giant airheads that you could buy. You couldn't get them anywhere else. And some kids would go buy a box of them with their parents, and then they would come sell them at the school. So Miles has found a need. He's found a need. They don't have any sodas at his middle school. So he buys the grocery store brand for cheap, and then he gets a coupon, and then he packs them into his backpack and he sells them for $1 a piece. He's making some good money. He's making some good money in middle school. He's helping this family put food on the table. Way to go, Miles. Anyway, did anyone run New York City? It would be a safe space to talk about your experience in New York City. Do you want to talk strength training? This is running adjacent. Is it allowable? And it is absolutely okay and a safe space to talk about here. Your squats. You could tell me about your squats. How much weight did you do? How many reps? How many sets? Your wife doesn't give a shit about how much you squatted. She loves you, Shirley, right? Your coworkers, they don't care. They like you. I'm sure they do, but they really don't care about your glute growth. I care greatly about your glute growth and that strength training. This is not sounding very well, but yeah, still safe space though. Weather, you want to talk about the weather? That is absolutely, it falls under the jurisdiction of running. We could talk about it. It warmed up just a little bit here for a week, and then it's gonna get cold again, which I'm actually very much looking forward to. You want to talk about Halloween? There's candy involved, and all I hear is carbs. So you want to talk about carb and up with candy? Can absolutely do that. Okay, let's see who we have in here. Brian Russell says, "I need to run, but no motivation." LOL. Yeah, sometimes it's difficult. If you are a night person and you got to get up early in the margins of life to get your run in, that's the only time, bless your heart, because most of my family are night people, and I am not. Stevie76 says, Surely I just met her. Surely your wife does love you. An oldie but a goodie. Brian Russell says, It would be in my Norda's 005s on a local trail. That is a shoe I have never tried. I've never tried the Nordas. There's some brands I just haven't gotten around to. So, Tyr is another one. TYR. Is that how you say that one? Tur. The Maverick is calling my name. I just haven't found any on the Sepwell app in my size for $60, which is about what the price I'm willing to pay for a new shoe that I haven't tried out before. I know I set the bar pretty low. Not holding my breath for that one. And another week has gone by where there is no Endorphin Elite 2s in my size on the Sepwell app. There's a glitch. Oh my god. How does that work? This is a moment. I have to prepare you. I have a story for you. A storyteller. We're gonna get to the subject of the thumbnail at some point. I'll have to like maybe go back and chapter this. So if somebody sees it and they're like, oh, I would like the 8 people who want to know about the Mizuno Proto shoes, they can just fast forward to that part. So a glitch in the matrix. I manage coffee shops. I'm in the coffee shop. There are 2 baristas. They're younger baristas. They're probably entry level college. And one of them is in the window, and another one is grabbing some food at the oven. And somebody says, what the one in the window is like, oh, wow, so one of those things just happened. She's like, it's where like you think of the thing and then they're all there. And it's almost like the other barista 2 says, a glitch in the matrix. And she goes, yeah, it's a glitch in the matrix. And then the one on the oven goes, wasn't that a movie or something? The Matrix? I was like, oh my God. Visceral reaction was just like, wow, okay. And then she goes, oh my God, did I say something stupid? You're acting as if I just said something dumb. And I said, no, you didn't at all. It's just sometimes I forget because I'm so old and my memory is so bad how old that I actually am. The Matrix was not only a movie, there was 3 movies, and they were wildly popular, and people were lined up as far as the eye could see to get into these movies when they were released. But it's amazing to me that you understand deja vu as a terminology of a glitch in the Matrix, but you don't know the source material of where it comes from because you never saw the Matrix and you didn't know it was a movie. What if I told you John Wick was in the Matrix? Just one of those moments. One of those. I felt like I was glitching out. Oh, it was not a safe space for me. In that coffee shop, I was afraid. I had to get out of there. Mad Buyers weighing in. Recovery run today, 5.25 miles at an 8:45 clip with an average heart rate of 146 beats per minute in the, drumroll, surprise, he didn't say drumroll, Peg 41, currently at 206 miles and still feeling great. Ah, Dr. Nike is in here, Matt Beyer, with the Peg 41 update. I love that. And I know you're not lying, Matt, because it's in the details. 5.25 miles, 146 average heart rate, BPMs. It's a safe space to talk about heart rate. And I said it last week. There's usually always one in any group who mostly only wants to talk about heart rate, and we can do that. I should just do a whole training block just by heart rate, and we just talk about heart rate. Everyone will unsubscribe, but I'll still do it. It's good. 206 miles, still feeling great. That's the last Pegasus I ran in was a 37. It was peak 2020, that Tiger Show, Queen's Gambit, Pegasus 37. I ran 104 miles and then it did not feel good under my foot. I ran in 3 pairs of the Reebok Float Ride Energy. Maybe it was called the Run Fast. I'm not sure, but they were $40. They were like $100, but they were always on sale, and then you could get them, and they were a peppy little shoe that I just love, and sometimes I take them, when I travel for a race and I do a shakeout run the day before. I like to take a nostalgic shoe that kind of brings me back to why I ran. I know, such a romantic here. Safe space, guys, safe space. And think the last time was the Novablast 1. I still have a pair of those in the vault that I take out from time to time. And I brought out the Float Ride ones from Reebok. And for Houston, the Sugarland half, that was not the move. I cannot believe that I put hundreds of miles in those shoes. There's not much shoe there. You get kind of spoiled as we put more max stack under the shoe every single time. So Matt is saying that size 9, it has been a bit dry lately on the Supwell app, the shoe marketplace lately. So I'm assuming everybody knows what the Supwell app is. It is a buy and sell shoe marketplace, secondhand shoes founded by Joanna. And yeah, not a whole lot of 9s lately. Brian Russell says Norda 005 and the Puma Seasons Deviate Nitro Elite Trail are the best trails shoes you have to try. Brian, I would love to try those. I say it like these shoes just sit here because I haven't moved them. I need to move them in there. Mount Taco sent me some trail shoes. I'd love to run in them, but I never get out to the trails, and I need to get out to the trails. That's what needs to happen. I haven't done it yet. But if I move to Colorado Springs, if I move to does Indianapolis have trails? I don't think it doesn't sound like Indianapolis would have trails. Longmeadow, Massachusetts, they gotta have trails up there. Something. If I move to a place with seasons and there are trails available, I will definitely do that. So Stevie76 says it's a Gone with the Wind reference. A glitch. Oh yeah, glitch in the Matrix. Definitely from Gone with the Wind. Is that the Hill of Beans one too? Nobody says that anymore. The Hill of Beans. I wish they would. Okay. And then I'm gonna move on after this, but Matt Beyer says getting out on the trail is such an inconvenience. And it really is. Time is a finite resource, and most of us midlifers are trying to squeeze in our daily runs in the margins of life. So it's usually before the sun comes up. So there's a time component where I got to get in the car, drive to the trail because I don't live near the trail, run on the trail, come back, get in the car, drive back. That extra 30 minutes, hmm, I don't know if there's always enough time. A time to kill, a time to run trails. I think that was part of it too. I think that was a quote. I think it was for sure. Next Man 916 says Jog on Crago just dropped a sick in-depth review of the Pure. Says the foam is now super critical PIBA now rather than what it was in the Pro 3 regular and the low. Yes. So we could use this. Now, 14 minutes and 24 seconds into this live stream, we're going to talk about these Mizuno shoes. I have 2 of them. I don't have 3. There is a Pure, which is the 5K, 10K. These are prototypes. This isn't the lineup that's coming. They're just protos. They have an Elite, and then they have the Pro. And the Pro is the most like the Pro Low. The Elite, they all look the same. The Elite is kind of like the one that's I saw Doctors of Running come out with the video that's like more half oriented, and the Pure is more 5K, 10K racer. It's the lightest shoe. The Pure is 4.9 ounces in my US men's size 9. I think the Elite is 5.9 ounces. And I think the Pro is somewhere in the sevens. Just more of a typical classical trainer. So yeah, the Energy XP is what they put on the their foam, and it's usually a nitrogen infused supercritical foam that has some density to it where it squishes down. It has a lot of bounce, and it has a very nice rebound that launches me forward. It's a little bit heavy. So the Pro Low was my favorite classic shoe of the year. I ran 100 miles in it recently. I've run 100 miles. So I'm going to do a 100-mile review. I will get in full detail for that shoe. But these new F1 racers from Mizuno are next level. They are the F1 versions, and the foam does not feel the same. And the geometry also does not feel the same. So they use the same sort of terminology, and that's like with the XP, and then it's a smooth speed plate, but it's not smooth speed assistance. Like it doesn't have like the geometry. It doesn't. It's the Elite does not have the midfoot design or geometry that I was really fond of in a lot of their shoes. It's also flat across the board. So you don't have an aggressive heel bevel that's missing from the Pro. The Wave Rebellion 3, the Wave Rebellion Pro 3 Low, or the Wave Rebellion Pro 3, or the Wave Rebellion Pro 2, or the Wave Rebellion Flash 2, or the Wave Rebellion Flash 3, where they're kind of missing a heel. This one is not. There is a heel, and the rocker is much later in the Elite. So it reminds me of, I made a short for this, but it reminds me of the Audios Pro 3. It also reminds me of the Endorphin Elite version 1. It also, like, I've heard based off Kafuzi's reviews, and maybe it was Kafuzi, said that the Evo Pro 2 has the late rocker, whereas the Evo Pro 1 had the early rocker like the Evo SL. This has the late rocker. Now, I ran a 3-mile tempo in this shoe, a threshold, and it was like 552, 552, 551 on a really cold day. That is stellar, and it felt great. It feels like a blade, though. It's not a dagger shoe. It does feel more for stride runners or people who are landing up like demon time, up on the toes. You are ripping in this shoe, but it's your natural mechanics. That's where it feels best at, is, and it's stiff. So the aggressive nature of the shoe, if I were comparing it to the Asics Metaspeed Edge Paris, that's a lightweight shoe that's bouncy-ish, right? But I would say, and it has a plate, but that shoe, the energy comes from the bounce on the Metaspeed Edge Paris, Sky Paris. It's the bounce. Even though it's supposed to help you roll through in the edge, I really felt like it was bounce. And where that shoe felt great was like 5K, 10K, when that light foam would just tap the ground. I felt like a little Jesus lizard across some water. And the Elite also feels not as bouncy, but still bouncy. But in place of it, the aggressive nature of the shoe comes from the toe off. like the Vaporfly 2. The toe off was very aggressive and makes me feel like I'm going forward. But you have to be getting that forefoot one way or another. You got to get to the forefoot to launch forward. It does not work incredibly well with my mechanics. I like the Adios Pro 3 outright. I love the Endorphin Elite version 1. This is 1 ounce lighter than the Endorphin Elite version 1, but the Endorphin Elite was bouncier in the foam than this shoe. This shoe is going to be too firm for a lot of runners, but like it really feels designed for like elite to sub elite, very fast runners. And I'm glad to see Mizuno mixing it up because they make a lot of shoes that fall right into my wheelhouse, like the Pure. We can talk about the Pure. If I had to choose, if I could only buy one, I'm going to pick the Pure. Now, the Pure is the 5K, 10K racer. It's 4.9 ounces. I measured the grams. I forget. I need to go back. I don't usually speak in grams, so I don't know. It looks like a scooped low plate position. Um, yeah. Next man 916 says also that is the plate position noticeable? Spoon, low plate, or high plate? Definitely a low plate for that. But with the late rocker, um, you I would say I guess you could roll through, but it's still bouncy. It feels great. It feels incredible. I don't know how I don't want to give the impression that just because it doesn't complement my mechanics as well as the other shoe, that this is an incredible shoe. Both of these shoes are incredible shoes. I think that these two shoes, if I had to make a statement about them, I think they're going to put Mizuno on the map for a lot of people who really haven't come around to the weird geometries of the Pro and have maybe thought about trying Mizuno, but it's outside of the wheelhouse because they just kind of normally stick to Nike or whatever. Like I feel like these shoes will bring people in. So the Pure is next level for me. Have run a couple times in it, a few workouts where the Elite feels like a blade, like a half marathon, maybe 10K kind of blade, like the Takumi Sen 10. The Pure feels like a dagger. It feels like a Takumi Sen 8 more than a 10, right? Like super lightweight. It reminds me of a bouncier. Okay, I said the Asics Metaspeed Edge Paris, right? That one, I've put over 200 miles in it, and I go back to running it, and I'm like, this shoe is kind of firm. This is not firm, right? And there is more give to the shoe, whereas, and I think it's, if I had to sum it up, my Takumi Sen 8 is to the Pure as the Takumi Sen 10 is to the Elite, is because in the 8 there was like a partial plate, a half plate or whatever, or rods. In the Takumi Sen 10 there was the full carbon rods and they're very stiff. And that's the Elite. The Elite is stiff like that, so that's what it feels more like a blade. But there's more give and there's more bounce to the Pure. The Pure feels like a cheat code for sure. It's super lightweight. And I own the Streak Fly version 2. I've run 60 plus miles in the Streak Fly version 2. I love it. It's like a track spike, but without the spikes. It has just enough padding for the roads. You're still putting in the work. It's not like the lighter the shoe, generally speaking, the less it has to give back to you. That's why I feel the Deviate Nitro Elite version 3, which I need to make my 100-mile review on that one. That one was the first F1 racer, in my opinion, even before the Fast R3 came out, because it's so lightweight and it's so bouncy and it's so propulsive. So it's giving me all this energy return and this responsiveness, but it's not a heavy shoe. It doesn't make any sense. Usually you need to have more foam in there to bounce you back or some sort of elements of the shoe that's going to add weight to it in order to make you feel like you're going faster. Usually. So if you go lighter, like I will be honest, the A6 Metaspeed Edge Paris, I like this shoe a lot, but I still got to do all the work for it. I mean, it's bouncy, it's exciting. It was maybe my shoe of the year last year before I had run in the Deviate Nitro Elite version 3, and it's great, but I wouldn't take it for the marathon. I would feel glad that I did late in the race. The heel was a little narrow because it's so lightweight. That would be nice, but I wouldn't feel like when my legs are tired that the shoe is kind of still locking me in and pushing me forward like an Endorphin Elite version 1 or maybe an Alpha Fly, which is a heavier shoe, but still kind of locked me into some cadence and it felt like it was still pushing me late into the race. So the Pure is a shoe that the rocker has to be. I have to look at it. Yeah, the rocker starts just a little bit sooner, and I feel that in my midfoot mechanics. Like, I feel I have to be up on my toes on the Elite. I feel like I don't have to be quite as up on my toes for the Pure. It's more midfoot friendly. And the same way the Evo SL is really nice. It's not as aggressive as the Evo SL with the geometry, but it's more, I hit the sweet spot organically, especially as I'm going faster. I ran, I guess they were just intervals, but it's just so peppy and so lively, and it's light, but it also still feels like it's giving me a lot of energy return, and I feel like it shouldn't be like that. Now, I can't compare it to the A6 Metaspeed Ray because I have not run in that shoe. People describe that as soft. I define soft as like maybe the Audios Pro 4 has a little bit of softness. The Cielo X1 2.0 has a lot of softness. Softness to me doesn't speak to energy return. I think a lot of what makes the Cielo X1 2.0, the reason I like it so much is because I like the beveled heel. I like the geometry of the shoe, and most of the aggressive nature of the shoe comes from that. There's some good bounce, but it is also soft and something I would take for a marathon where I knew I wasn't going for a PR attempt. It's a shoe that I've quickly put 60 to 70 miles in, just taking it for my long runs. I like the Cielo X1 2.0. Right. So while this isn't as aggressive in the Pure the um, with the toe box, it still feels pretty smooth and it feels wonderful. Now I need to run in the Pro. I'm going to take the Pure for my Turkey Trot 5K, but I also want to take it for the SATX half marathon. And I would probably also take it for the full marathon because there's enough protection underfoot. It's wild. It really is. When Kofuzi described the Evo 1 as a Takumi Sen meant for the marathon, that's kind of how I feel about the Pure. Now, the Pure is going to be the most money, I believe. It's going to be, well, this is a prototype, so I don't know. So I can't really say anything about that as far as like um, the shoes that are coming out, because those aren't these. Let me go back up. Let's see. Mm, Sam says, Coach had me running Evil 13s, running hard efforts after doing marathon pace long runs for the past few months. Has been a shock to the body. Yeah. What an asshole, Sam. I can't believe that guy. I would never do that to you. My coach Sam. Say the obvious. It's never funny when you explain a joke, but I just did it. So I always forget how hard it is. deep into a 5K type of workout, and then it's like, "Oh, this is why left to my own devices, I avoid really hard workouts." And I think in my self-coaching days, when I didn't have a coach, that was likely my main obstacle and the thing that I was missing. When I had a coach, I tended to PR a lot. And then when I didn't, I was still doing well. Sometimes I was piggybacking off the other fitness and then extending it into the next race, but I wasn't improving at the same rate. And I think it's because when I switched to half marathon or marathon, I'm increasing my volume and reducing my speed. And I probably need to stay with the speed a little bit longer for that. But yeah, it's always a shock to the system when it's the fastest you've run in quite some time. And to me, it's like I look at the paper and I'm like, oh, okay, according to my fitness, to these or RCA tables or VDOT or whatever you use, I'm supposed to be able to run whatever pace it is, right? Say 6:30s. And then you're like, okay, cool. And then you run a 6:30 rep and you're like, I could do this. Second 6:30 rep. Okay. But then now your VO2's caught up to you. It's hard to breathe. And it's just like, oh my God, it's so much work. It's so hard. I mean, it's literally that is the prescription 9 out of 10 hard running. I mean, you're supposed to be hard, but then it's like, oh, I can't breathe. So I prescribed myself some VO2 for the last 4 weeks, and I have a few more weeks of it. So I'm right there with you, Sam. Evil 13s, huh? Philip Watts says his run today, easy run in the Brooks Hyperion Max 3, trying to get 50 miles this peak week for my marathon in 3.5 weeks. Also, Chesapeake Bay Bridge run 10K this Sunday. Rain under 45 minutes. Hey, sometimes the rain's really nice. I haven't run in the Hyperion Max 3. Last year I bought a lot of those. Skyward X, a lot of those Puma Mag Max. And every time they kind of fall into the same category where they're like, oh, this is nice. This is nice and bouncy. It's cool. I'm going to do some daily in it. Maybe I could do a long run, like a long run shoe. And then I never really reach for it. And then it just kind of gets neglected. Like I love the Puma Mag Max. I have 130 miles in it though. Like I feel like I could have like 300 easy in it. So Matt Beyer says, looking forward to trying out the Pure. Really hope one of the local running stores have them and the Elite in store to try on. Yeah, I read in the Elite first, and then I thought, this is it. Like this is the best shoe because I did that threshold run and it felt really good. But I've tried it at every pace below that, and it does not, and it shouldn't feel good. But I also tried to run in it like marathon pace, and it's not enough. I'm not putting enough power down, or like my gait's not coming through enough to land on there on my mechanics. Like I think based on the videos that Kafuzi makes, he tends to land way up there. So like I think Kafuzi would probably like the Elite. That would be my guess. They look very similar. I would say the Pure is a little bit shorter. And but yeah, it's brilliant. Both the shoes are really good. And I really want to try the Pro and compare it to the Pro Low to see. Next man 916 says, looks like there's a tiny bit of toe spring though. Yeah, you get the you don't get the extended plate. There's no extended plate from the top of the shoe, but it is very firm in the Elite. And with the late rocker, it does give you that toe off like the Vaporfly 2. So if you're up there, I think Sagasu, my man Chris, is 4-foot striker 2, and he likes some ground feel. I have a feeling he'll like that one, even though it's not Nike. Brian Russell says, have you heard anything about the rad UFOs? I'm interested, but it seems like there's a limited info out there. My favorite road shoe is the Neo Vista 2 with the nice wide toe box. Awesome. We got a Mizuno fan in the house. I asked Mizuno, I was like, hey, You guys ever send anybody to Tokyo? I'm just saying, if you do, you could put my name in the sorting hat. I would, I got to throw the Hail Mary. I never know if I don't ask. They're like, well, Mizuno's looking for some 204 to 206 guys. So yeah, that does not include me, but and the athletes, not content creators. So I don't know what the rad UFO is. Sounds badass though. I'm really like, I don't think I would have tried Mount to Coast if Mount to Coast didn't send me their shoes in the beginning. Um, so I don't think I would have tried some of the Mizuno shoes that I have tried if they had not sent them to me. Those are the only two companies that send me shoes. I do love the Neo Vista too. I have 150 plus miles. I have two videos to make today. I have to make one on my 100-mile review of the Pro Low, and then if I could buy one between the Neo Zen and the Neo Vista 2, because they have a lot of the same use case, but they feel a little bit different. And yeah, I love the Neo Vista too. And I look at shoes also in terms of, if somebody's asking me, it's my experience. Okay, it's just my experience with the shoe. Okay, like I get to say my experience, and then I could put my best guess about if I think the other person would like them. And I usually ask some clarifying questions. Okay, like um Joanna liked the Neo Vista 2, Kafuzi liked the Neo Vista 2, and their mechanics are not my mechanics. And I also like the Neo Vista 2. So then I feel like those shoes I keep track of, because they're a safe bet for everybody. Like, okay, most people will like this. Whereas like when those guys are like, yeah, the Novablast 5 is softer, but it's not bouncy. I'm like, okay, we have two different experiences in that. Same with the Zen. So Matt Beyer says 137 grams is what's being advertised for the Pure. Yes, that is what it was when I put it on my scale. Super light. And I think that comes in at about 4.9 ounces. So I love the Streak Fly too, but this one gives me more bounce, more push. It feels great. I'm gonna PR my turkey trot. I'll probably push it for the half marathon. So all right, we've got I'm not gonna be able to say this. Dadavidi says, "Hi, what's up? It's 2:23 for me. LOL. I woke up at 4 p.m. today. Well, good morning. If you haven't gone back to bed, if you just woke up to take a piss and I still caught you, thanks for hopping into the live stream. I try not to open up my phone if I wake up in the middle of the night, if the dogs are, barking at me, or if I have to get up to go to the bathroom. It's like sometimes I'll read something and I get triggered in, and I say like it's just my experience, guys. It's pretty mind blowing. Like I come from creative background, so I know like if I make movies, people were like, I hate it. Some people, I love it. Some people, I say I like it. Some people say I dislike it. Some people are indifferent. And the majority of all people will never even watch it. So I'll sit there and I'll say, hey, the Glycerin Max is not as soft as it looks. It's very comfortable, but it's not as soft as, say, a Neo Vista version 2. And in the comments, people are like, this is the softest shoe I've ever run in. You're an idiot, like whatever. And then there's other people who comment, they're like, what is going on in these comments? This is a brick. This is a firm shoe, man. You nailed it. This is not a soft shoe. And then they'll go at each other, and then I start eating popcorn, but I try to stay out of the comments. People take it personal when I share my experience in a shoe. I'm like, look, I'm not saying this is your experience in the shoe. I'm just saying it's my experience in the shoe. I was like, what's the point? Why do I even share my experience with the shoe? And then it's like everyone's like, no, you're wrong. But hopefully there's some discernment, and anyone who watches the channel regularly will say like, oh, I know his preferences. Okay, yeah, no, this is because usually I will say like I think heel strikers would like this shoe. I like when I'm describing the Elite, saying if you like the Endorphin Elite, If you like a firmer feel, if you are a 4-foot striker, I think you would like the Prototype Elite. That's just, it doesn't work well for me. It's a great shoe. I'm not shitting on the shoe. Today I ran 10 miles, guys. I ran 5 miles in the Evo SL, and then I ran 5 miles in the New Balance or the Novablast 5 because I'm comparing those shoes. And everyone thinks I hate the Evo SL because I said it was one note. And for the first 75 to 85 miles, it was one note. And now, like typical of Light Strike Pro Classic, it's softened. After 100 miles, it's softened. So now I just use it for steezy running. And now I've got over 150, 160 miles in it. I can use it for everyday kind of running. And it's nice. Okay. I never not liked the shoe. I keep running in it. I think it's great. But just because I said it was one note, people are like, oh, this guy, get bent. Oh, man. It's funny. And then there's another faction too. I was thinking about this that's like, and I see it more with Kafuzi, when people come at him in the comments sometimes. They don't really do it to me as much because I'm not as big as he is. So his reach is broader. And then people will come in and attack his speed on his review of a shoe. And it's like, what? He's not fast enough for the shoe. And I get that sometimes the shoes, you're not fast enough for the shoe, And it's like, what am I supposed to say? Alpha Fly 3. Look, if you're just not the tits at running, then don't even bother because the Alpha Fly 3 is going to be too fast for you. That's not fair. Mm. Next Man 916 says, that's awesome. I could see Alfie Manthorpe ripping in them. There are prototypes of Puma work in on a fast forward to, I hope they develop that. The first fast forward was a Takumi Streakfly competitor. I never tried that. Puma is my second or equally favorite, like Puma shoes and Mizuno shoes, like taste tests, run tests. I don't know. I don't lick them, but they're my two favorite shoes to run in. I think it has a lot to do with the nitrogen infused goodness. It's like when you start talking nitrogen infused, supercritical EVA, whatever, even EVA, it's like talking dirty to a runner. Like I just like, oh, I'm gonna like that. That's gonna be good. Skechers started doing it in 2020, maybe 2019, and I used to love their shoes. And I thought when Puma started doing it, and I ran in the Liberate One, I was like, ooh. They kept doing it. I was like, Puma's becoming what I thought Skechers was going to become. And I love every shoe that Puma makes. Just about. I love the Mag Max. I love I think they have the two best super shoes. Now it's getting very competitive because this Pure might be better than at least one of those. So I would have to. It would be a really good comparison to compare it to the Fast R V3, which is more responsive, but doesn't have quite as much energy return, but it's also very light. I will say the Fast R V2, Fast R Elite version 2 and 3 both hurt my feet. 2 more than 3. 3 was a little bit better. I experienced zero pain or zero discomfort in my forefoot in the toes after running in the Pure twice. So it's more forgiving on the shoe. And I don't really have anything to say about the outsole. It wasn't slippery at all. So on the Pro Low, it was like really sticky and it was great as well. So I've never ran in the fast forward. So I would have to maybe try that out. But I think that's the one that's like got the really steep 4-foot rocker also that just like drops off a cliff. You just get up there and just like pushes you right off and you just start running faster. That's how I imagine that shoe is. I don't know. I'm not probably going to get any new shoes until the running event. And then at the running event, I'm probably still not going to get into those. They're not like they're on sale or anything. But I am gonna talk to some of the brands to see if, my little small channel is big enough for them to let me test some shoes. If not, I'll just continue to buy them off the Supple app and run on them anyway. So, um, next man 916 says, "It was actually originated the spike for the road before the Streak Fly 2." I agree. Nitro Elite in a 510K lower stack would be amazing. Yeah. So the Street Fight 2, so I have to look at the fast forward because that looked like a running shoe, and the Street Fight 2 looked like a track spike, or, almost where. And it's weird because when I ran in the Novablast 3, I also felt that like reverse drop, inverse drop, where I was like climbing up over the shoe to land in it. And they fixed it with the Novablast 4, but that's kind of how I feel like in track spikes. You're just kind of sitting back. And that's how I felt in the Streak Flight 2. So, and for the record, guys, Mizuno does send me shoes. They did send me these shoes for testing. I did ask them if I can talk about the proto so that I wouldn't get, in any sort of trouble and get jailed or anything. But I like Mizuno and Puma a lot. But one of my favorite shoes right now is the Vomero Plus. I think it's so fun. It's an incredible shoe. I have the Novablast 5 up to maybe like 80 miles. I'm going to get 100 miles on that soon. I love the Evo SL. I'm not just some Mizuno homer, even though they send me shoes. I think you'll want to like the Flash V3. I didn't really care for the Flash V3 that much. It kind of reminded me of like the Zoom Fly 6 in that same sort of weight category of a tip. But like that whole category or genre of shoe, I didn't run in the Speed 5, but I think the majority of runners just get old race day shoes that they've retired from racing and then they run their workouts in that shoe. So the Boston 13 type of shoes and the Endorphin Speed 5, the Zoom Fly 6. I just don't, I mean, Zoom Fly 6 is my pick out of all of those that I like the most, probably. But I just don't see much of a purpose for that genre of shoe in today's world. Someone pointed out today also that they're like, hey, when people are shitting on you for the Evo SL, I think you have to understand that's like probably their own shoe, like their only shoe that they bought. They don't have like a F ton of shoes like you have. So like they're probably, and then you're saying it's not the best, and they're probably like, hey, this is my shoe. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it. It's perspective. But my point is, I'm not just going to tell you every Mizuno shoe is great because Mizuno sends me shoes. I'll say like, I don't really get on with the Wave Sky 9 or the Wave Sky series in general. I don't run in Nimbuses. I don't really run in that. I can't recommend it. I'm not going to tell you Flash 3 is the shit, especially with race day shoes like this. And then, you know, um, yeah, that's where I stand with that. Sweet. Yeah. And then for Houston, anyone here running the Houston Marathon? I'm thinking about doing a shakeout. I usually piggyback off Kafuzi shakeouts. I'm like, look, he's doing it. Like I when I ran Chicago in 2022, Floris Gearman had a shakeout, and it was at the same exact time Kafuzi's shakeout. And so I thought, well, how am I going to do this? Couldn't they coordinate and just run together and then like in a pack because they're both YouTubers? And then I'm thinking also about doing a shakeout in Houston, especially if they're early, about doing one a little bit later, like at 11, because the most important night to sleep is the night before the night, right? Like, I mean, 2 days before the shakeouts, I don't want to wake up early just to make a shakeout. I don't want to ask anyone else to do that. So maybe we can shake it out, avoiding Taylor Swift references always. Jen Piazza says, I'm running the Houston half. Hi, Jen. Let's shake. Absolutely. Shake and bake. Definitely no of about 4 or 5 other people running Houston, and then I'm gonna go up to Austin International because I got 3 runners running the half the next weekend. So if you're running Austin International half, might do a shakeout the Saturday, the 17th up in Austin. Um, yeah, lots of places to run there. Very, very runner friendly. Yeah. It just occurred to me, I'm very much deep in the weeds of coaching. I love coaching. It's a lot. And it was like, oh, I've got to write my next 2 weeks because I coach myself. Proof of concept. Now, I said this. I have once a week. I'm interviewing my runners, and their interviews are coming out every Saturday. And in a couple weeks, one of my runners ran a 2:48 in Chicago, and we're like the same age and we're the same speed. In theory, I know I should just do the plan that I wrote for him and apply it to myself. The shit works. I know it works. I saw it work. But I'm like, but what if, hear me out? Yeah, son of a bitch, I'm in. So yeah, I just, you know what it is? The problem is I see a little something on the internet, Goggins, Shako, Saban, and I'm like, yes, I get fired up about some shit they say, and I'm like, and I'm not one of those people who just like, yeah, that's great, and then I'm on my run. I'm like, I'm gonna apply that. I'm gonna apply that, and I heard Nick Saban saying like, there are 5 decisions that you could make: bad decisions, average decisions, good decisions, which is the decisions God probably wants us to make with the gifts that we've been given, excellent decisions, and elite decisions. And if you want to be elite or excellent, you're probably doing something special. You have a special drive, you have a special commitment, you have a special focus. And I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm not treating this endeavor like it's elite, even though I'm not an elite runner. There's nothing stopping me from acting like it's elite. I want to be elite with the focus. So what am I going to do? And then it ended up sounding like Floberg, like where it's like, oh, I'm going to dial in the nutrition. I'm going to dial in the strength. I'm going to dial in my sleep. I'm going to dial this in. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get this plan. I'm going to do this thing. But I mean, it's better than not doing it. So there's that. So, but yeah, because I was like, all right, because right now my intervals are, everything is indicative of a 245. It's kind of where I'm at. My Yasso 800 is like 243, but that's not the ultimate litmus test. It's just like where my threshold is, where my intervals are. My marathon pace efforts are like 6, 16, 6, 17, avoiding 6, 7, 16, 17. And those are everything. Anyway, next man 916 says, it's probably just me. Whenever I see someone jogging past me in the Evo SL, I automatically think they just picked up running. Yeah, they're running in their gray zone. They're running. That's the easy run for them, and they're running way too fast. And they're definitely running in the Evo SL. Oh, next man says he's running the Dallas half in December. Are you the one that's always recruiting Kafuzi to go run the Dallas Marathon? Somebody's been recruiting Kafuzi to run the Dallas Marathon for like 3 or 4 years. He's like, I've never been to Dallas. I'm like, bro, you're not missing anything. It's like Los Angeles, but without the movie industry. No disrespect to Dallas. He said, as he completely disrespected Dallas. Well, good luck on the Dallas half, man. I always like, I know I'm desperate when I'm starting looking around for a marathon, and I'm just like, Cowtown? What's Cowtown? Dallas Fort Worth? I don't know. Jason Horner says, that's me. I know that guy. Yeah, Jason Horner, spoiler alert. That's the guy who ran the 248. Jason, I should just run your plan. That's it. Maybe you can coach me. I'll pay you. You coach me. Then you write your plan back to me, and then I'll do that. Luis Becerra says, hello, super late. Never late, Luis. You're right on time, man. We are always ready for you. We're always ready for you. Rolling in. Congrats to Jen Piazza on the New York City performance. Her fastest New York City marathon time, 10th time's charm by like 14 minutes, 15 minutes, 3:36. on a very tough course. That course ate up everybody. Everyone got swallowed up by New York City. Stevie76 says Dallas. No offense taken. I'm glad the whole city, right? Because I like Dirk. I know Dirk isn't originally from Dallas, from my understanding, but we'll try to steer clear of sports talk. It's going to be bad if I'm like, hey, what about that Wemby, eh? What about those Spurs? Because I started watching the games with my son. I was like, look, we got a generational talent here. I grew up with Duncan and Robinson, so like it just makes sense. Like you can't miss out on this. And he's just such a kid. He's like, "You think we'll go undefeated the whole season?" I was like, "Probably 5-0. I mean, I think it's happening." I was like, "No, 4-0." They lost. He's like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, they don't play the same every night. It's weird. Some nights the shots go in, sometimes they don't. Sometimes the other team really wants to beat you more than you want to beat them. It's really weird. It's all matchups." His mind was blown. But we're not going to stay up tonight to watch the San Antonio Laker game, the San Antonio Spurs versus the Lakers, because it starts at 9. It's a West Coast game. And it's a school night. Next man 916 says, not me, but I know the race director before 2 years ago. I don't think it was him, though. He's not very internet savvy. Jason Horner says, we need at least one more coach to write plans for each other to unlock the full Spider-Man gift. Yeah, we do. We do. To write the same plan. We'll just recycle the plan, but we'll all just write it down and then hand it to each other and then run it. And then it's good. But I feel like what you did, I'm going to review your plan because I think I still wrote in a lot of speed for you. And I really think that's what I didn't do in previous blocks, that I need to keep the foot on the pedal, because left to my own devices, I'm going to just be like, oh, okay, I need to do a little speed here and there just to keep that system alive. And I probably need to do more than I think. And when I look at the pros, they run fast a lot, and it's like they do strides in their warm up before they run the marathon, where people are like, yeah, you just warm up as you go. Connor Mance is like, I didn't do enough strides. I needed to do even more. I'm like, okay. Jen Piazza says it was a 15-minute and 43-second course PR. NYC is a beast. Thanks to everyone. Stevie76 says it's the French pipeline, San Antonio. It is. Wemby's proud to be a Spur, and I'm glad, because Kawhi Leonard was not proud to be a Spur. And he wanted to get out of here, and he did. He even went to Canada. And we like Canada. But he didn't like Canada either, because he went to Los Angeles, which was always the plan. Next man 960 says, North Dallas is nice. It's actually green and has hills, but definitely hill country is nicer where you are. Yeah, there's some nice hill country. It's not always the best for running when you want to run someplace flat. So, but hills are good. Hills are good. Luis Becerra says, go Lakers. Oh, Luis. And here I said, I was so glad you made it. You know what, though? It's a safe space for Dodgers fans, for Lakers fans. I know, oddly, a lot of Dodgers fans, for somebody who does not live in Los Angeles, and they let you know about it. Why do we have this thing here? Oh, I can start a QA or a poll, and I could start a members only live stream. That's so weird. Okay. Yeah. YouTube, the internet. Awesome. I'm old. That's why I don't know these things. All right. I appreciate everyone stopping in. We made it a whole hour talking about nothing than just running. I will put this up on the live stream, or on the live stream. I'll put this up on the podcast, Stride and Shine podcast. If you don't catch this now, it occurs to me now that only 14 of you are going to hear that. And then everyone else is already going to know about it by listening to it on the podcast. So anyway, this is the part where I ramble on and everybody kind of checks out and clicks off and goes back to work. So we're going to skip all that. And I'm just going to say thank you for stopping in and taking time out of your day to come say hello. Not a Dodgers fan, Luis. That I'm just going to say it. He's a Padres fan. So love to hear it. Love to see it. We're going out on that note. Go Padres.